Weatherwax, Associate Director for Biological Environmental Research at the U.S. Department of Energy. She has previously served in a number of different positions within the DOE, including as the Division Director and Program Manager for the Biological System Science Division of the Office of Biological and Environmental Research and Program Manager in the Office of Basic Energy Sciences. Dr. Weatherwax received her Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry from the University of California at Los Angeles and her PhD in Biochemistry from the University of California at Berkeley. Our final witness today is Dr. Noelle Metting, radiation biologist at the U.S. Department of Energy's Office of Environmental Health, Safety, and Security within the Office of Public Radiation Protection. Dr. Metting previously worked in the DOE's Office of Science, Office of Biological Environmental Research, where she managed the DOE's low-dose radiation program. In addition, she worked for 20 years as a laboratory research scientist at Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. Dr. Metting received her master's degree in radiological sciences from the University of Washington and her Doctor of Science in cancer biology from Harvard. I now recognize Dr. Weatherwax for 5 minutes to present her testimony.
Mr. Chairman, ranking members, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today to discuss the Department of Energy's low-dose radiation research program and the decision to end the program in fiscal year 2016. My name is Dr. Sharlene Weatherwax, and I'm the Associate Director for Science in Biological and Environmental Research, or BER, in DOE's Office of Science. I have earned my PhD in biochemistry from the University of California at Berkeley and have research expertise in microbial enzymology and plant molecular biology. I joined the Department of Energy in 2001 as a career federal employee, and first as a program manager for the Office of Basic Energy Sciences, and then in BER. I rose to the Senior Executive Service position of Biological Systems Science Division Director in 2008 and became the Associate Director for BER in 2011. I am responsible for strategic program planning, budget formulation and execution, and coordination with other DOE program offices and other federal agencies. BER supports fundamental research and scientific user facilities to support DOE's energy, environment, and basic research missions, drawing upon the scientific expertise of researchers at academic and industrial institutions and the DOE national labs. The BER Biological Systems Science Division supports a diverse portfolio of fundamental research and technology development, serving as the basis for the confident redesign of microbes in plants for sustainable biofuel production, improved carbon storage, and controlled biological transformation of materials such as nutrients and contaminants in the environment. There's a very competitive environment for funding within BER, with exciting new scientific opportunities due to the rapidly changing nature of biological science. Since completion of the human genome sequence in 2003, the genome sequencing and analysis tools at the DOE's Joint Genome Institute have enabled BER's genomic science program to be at the forefront of developing the scientific basis for translating a genetic parts list for plants and microorganisms into scientific knowledge about biological system functions. This research is exemplified in the bioenergy research centers, which were started in 2007. The centers continue to produce the innovative science needed to foster production of fuels and chemicals from renewable biomass and are working to translate these basic science results to practical outcomes for industry and society. BER is also at the forefront of deciphering the underlying principles of genome expression in order to design new biological functions. With continued understanding of the genomic potential of plants and microbes comes the ability to manipulate and design new pathways into plants and microbes for beneficial purposes. Biosystem design concepts are at the heart of the ongoing biotechnology revolution and key to maintaining international leadership. In addition to these major efforts in bioenergy-related research, BER has managed a basic research program in low-dose radiation research since 1998. Over the past 18 years, the program has provided new technological advances and fundamental scientific understanding of the mechanisms cells use to sense, repair, and adapt to the impacts of low-dose radiation. Research investigations have included a number of critical biological phenomena induced by low-dose exposure, including adaptive response, bystander effects, genomic instability, and genetic susceptibility. The program was not intended to address regulatory policy, but rather to advance the fundamental science of radiation impacts on biological processes. To date, there are no studies that have been able to establish with sufficient certainty a threshold level of radiation below which the risk for cancer is 0, despite decades of research in this area. Any changes to the current protection standards would require strong and compelling evidence that a higher amount of radiation exposure is safe. The DOE low-dose radiation research program is ending in fiscal year 2016 as BER's biology portfolio continues to shift more towards bioenergy, biodesign, and environmental microbiology research missions. Funding levels have been steadily decreasing since 2012, with $1 million appropriated to complete the program in fiscal year 2016. The total amount of appropriated funding that the DOE Office of Science has devoted to the low-dose research program from its inception is over $250 million, and the program outcomes and data are available to the community and other interested agencies through peer-reviewed scientific publications. Biology is rapidly transforming to a more quantitative and predictive science, and the BER biology portfolio continues to extend its genome science efforts to plants and microbes to develop the fundamental scientific understanding needed for solutions to energy challenges of the future. Thank you for inviting me to speak about the low-dose radiation research program. I look forward to answering the committee's questions.
Now recognize Dr. Metting for 5 minutes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, ranking members, and other members of the subcommittees on energy and oversight. Thank you for this opportunity to testify at the hearing this morning. I'm a scientist, a radiation biologist, currently working for the Department of Energy, Office of Environmental Health, Safety, and Security. I'm actually on detail from DOE's Office of Science and BER, where from the year 2000 until December of 2014, I had, among other duties, been tasked with managing DOE's low-dose radiation research program. Over the previous 20 years, I was a laboratory research scientist, an experimentalist working in Pacific Northwest National Lab. I have a Master's of Science from the University of Washington and a Doctor of Science from Harvard University. In my remarks today, I will share my personal experience of being fired by DOE and suffering long months of unemployment that occurred as a direct outcome of my participation in a briefing for congressional staff. In a nutshell, the circumstances surrounding this intimidation and retaliation are these. Congressional staffers requested an overview of the low-dose program, so my immediate supervisor, Dr. Todd Anderson, asked me to prepare a PowerPoint presentation. It was duly reviewed, amended, and finalized. In a pre-briefing meeting attended by myself and Drs. Anderson, Carruthers, and Huerta, it was decided that for the congressional staff briefing, I would present my slides and handouts and respond only to the scientific questions, while Drs. Anderson and Carruthers would handle the budget and policy issues. During the congressional briefing the following day, on October 16th, I presented the agreed-upon material and answered accurately the many scientific questions directed to me by House staff member Dr. Aaron Weston and Senate fellow Dr. Ron Fabish. The staffers were very knowledgeable in the science. Their questions thorough and comprehensive, showing real interest in the subject. In fact, this deep knowledge was unexpected by all of us. After the briefing ended and the Hill staff had left, Dr. Carruthers accused me of advocating and lobbying for the program and of being too enthusiastic about research results. I was shocked. During the briefing, I had answered all the questions based on my knowledge as a scientific subject matter expert, all the questions based on with no intention of lobbying for the program itself. My only motivation was to fully and truthfully inform Congress about the state of DOE's low-dose program research. Drs. Carruthers and Anderson repeatedly accused me of lobbying. Confronted with this unwarranted and unjustified onslaught, I reminded them that they already knew I had disagreed with their plan to end support of the program. I also mentioned my concern as to how SC management had handled a specific congressional directive to designate an extra $16 million to the FY 2012 budget for Fukushima-related low-dose research. Thus began an unjust and painful saga of unrelenting intimidation. In just over one uncomfortable week after the briefing, Dr. Anderson removed me as manager of the low-dose program and detailed me to unclassified duties. My management obviously did not want me answering any more questions, scientific questions about the low-dose program. A month later, on December 4th, 2014, a notice of proposed removal was issued, charging me with insubordinate defiance of authority and inappropriate workplace communication. I was put immediately on administrative leave, subsequently denied access to the contents of my former office. There followed a very long period of stressful activity at my home, alone during the usual work week, cut off from my peers, trying to build a defense to the charges, guided by my NTEU representative. In early January, I filed a disclosure and complaint with the Office of Special Counsel regarding the $16 million budget directive, also sending information to DOE's Inspector General. 5 months later, a final decision of removal was issued by the deciding official, Dr. Stephen Binkley, and effective May 16th of 2015. I'm sorry I'm going over. Shall I continue? On the next business day, Dr. Sharlene Weatherwax, Associate Director of BER, was seen rolling a dumpster to my old office, and thus began, or perhaps continued, the removal of the contents, including irreplaceable hard copy notes, files, and documents, and some of my personal possessions. You may now appreciate that intimidation and retaliation in this case is somewhat self-evident. It's revealing that after I appealed to the Merit Systems Protection Board, and just before the appeal hearing started, DOE reached a settlement with me. I am currently employed, but feel there's continuing intimidation of scientists. To this day, I have not been granted the right to inspect remaining materials from my old office or to retrieve missing personal items. I suggest it's unacceptable that scientists are put under pressure to espouse views that are not their own, and that federal scientists are persecuted for presenting accurate information, professional opinion to those charged with providing funds for this research. Now, in my written testimony, I have a lot of information, timeline, and information about the low-dose program. Thank you for inviting me to share this experience.